It's early in the morning. I woke up at 7, got some breakfast. I'm recording. Alright. Fuck. Eminem, Relapse. It's an Eminem LP, guys. It's an Eminem project. Classic.
I said winning was
rapper.
easy.
Every single thing he's done.
Some people can't handle
classic.
success. I can.
Some shady LP.
Key to more success is using the right soap. I only use
I
dub.
don't remember anything else in his discography. Marshall Mathers LP 2. Classic.
Dub soap.
Rap God.
Trust me.
Classic.
Ladies always say,
He's the
Carol, you
most
smell good. I use no cologne.
era
Cocoa butter.
defining. Super dark. Super edgy. Album starts off. Skit. 2 songs in. Skit. 4 songs in. Skit. Every 4 songs. This isn't just an album. This is an experience, alright? First
Cocoa
song.
butter is the key.
Eminem's so edgy. He's killing all
Best
these people.
deodorant
I
in
don't
the
know what's
world.
happening. Second song.
All the other stuff is garbage, man. Use Dove,
his problems are
deodorant.
actually his
It's a
problems.
vibe. It's so
They're his
important for the
mom's.
culture.
Third song.
They will try to
Eminem's
close the
killing
door
people.
on you.
He's so
Just
edgy.
open it.
Fourth song. Fifth song.
Just
Sixth
open
song. Eminem's so dark
don't
and
see
edgy.
them.
He's killing people.
You are happy 24/7. That is a lie. That is bullshit. And I refuse to have somebody tell me bullshit. I want to have an honest
So when you
conversation.
come from a college dorm room with no money, okay, you scamming credit cards, and you ain't getting no play with no girls, you're not getting, you have no clothes, you have no car, and you come to having 3, 4 cars, you got
Beautiful day.
I wear every
Every chance I get,
just
I want to play messages.
any kind of clothes
Lie on
you want. How could you be
King of the jungle.
That's right.
All the days went on, more and more started
It's perfect. Everything about this project, from the beautiful. Fuck you, that's the review. I'm just gonna drink water for the next, 12 minutes, so. Alright, here's the real review. This album is just flat out bad. I'm gonna open it like that. There are very few good things I have to say, and I think that instead of just putting them, in the beginning, I'll sprinkle little nuggets of me giving him credit where credit's due throughout the project, but it's just bad. It's a bad album. So the skits, there's a skit probably every 4 songs, and they kind of paint this narrative, but it's a narrative that is never followed through in the actual, album. So it's just sort of pointless. A lot of the skits are either really just flat out terrible, or they're so close to being, self-reflective and self-aware that it almost hurts to listen to, because he's just, so close to doing something that would have been, development, I also need to say, I don't have a problem with edgy shit. I'm not easily offended, and I know that this is kind of one of those things where it's just you're being, you found one thing that you like, so you can fly, flashing around like a flag. I like Tyler, the Creator, but I like dark stuff, I like Wu-Tang, I like horror movies. It's not like I am one of those people who doesn't like Eminem because they think he's too edgy and he's too dark. I don't like him for pretty much the opposite reason. M tries really hard to be dark and edgy and throw in pop culture and just talk about it's a lot of the same shit. It's a lot of I'm so dark and edgy, pop culture icons, I'm gonna talk about killing them. And there's a lot of him talking about how he's a serial killer and he's a rapist, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, okay, it'd be a bland picture if that was all the album was, but the problem is, I don't think Eminem's rapping style really leads well into pretty much anything, because he'll often be, like, describing stuff, and I'll be like, okay, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not terrible, and then he'll randomly rhyme something with the word, like, he'll say, like, the line, crack my taco shell, which I can't fucking excuse stuff like that. It's just, it takes me out of the picture, and it ruins it. He just tries so hard to get, like, multi-syllable rhymes in there. It doesn't work when you're trying to create a story. And then another problem with his style is he chooses to talk about, like, pop culture icons and stuff like that, and it really makes me feel like I'm watching an episode of Friends, where, yeah, sure, I get all of, like, the references and jokes from pop culture and stuff, but it doesn't mean that they don't sound really, really old, and fuck you, Bug. Old and dated. Then there's the accents, and he kind of does these throughout the whole fucking project. Bagpipes from Baghdad, the chorus, or the intro, he does, like, this annoying Scottish accent. He does, like, this kind of faux British accent all over the place, and I don't really think there's much of a point to it. I don't know if he does this Christopher Reeves accent or if someone else does, but there's, like, a Christopher Reeves voice on here that's just fucking terrible. On the tracks on this album where he doesn't actually spew verbal diarrhea via these accents, there's some, you know, there's some stuff that's pretty bearable. Like, I'm not completely discrediting the accent stuff, because I think that, you know, having someone with a different voice is kind of good for an album of this length. So, like, the intro to the song Beautiful, I think that that's a really great touch that they didn't necessarily need to have in there, but I feel like it works. That is one of my favorite songs on the album. It kind of has a different message. It's developmental. There's no shitty skits or accents blocking it from being good. And M has, like, a strict topic that he's talking about. And he doesn't ever, I don't think, sacrifice what he is saying and the point of his message just so he can sound cool and rhyme. It doesn't sound like he's writing stuff for an actual point. Crack a Bottle is a pretty good posse track. It's Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, and Eminem. I think the chorus is surprisingly catchy. The chorus, it's not bad. The only person who I really even have gripes with is Eminem, because his verse is just the same stuff that I've been putting up with this whole album. But then Dr. Dre, he comes through. He actually gives, like, a surprisingly good verse for a person that we don't really consider to be that high of a caliber rapper. And then 50 comes in, and it's 50. It's 50 Cent. So, like, you know, I gotta like it. I can't. It's 50 Cent, you know? The album is backloaded with just probably 20 to 30 minutes of single versions of songs and music video versions of songs. And this is the version of Crack a Bottle without 50 Cent on it for some reason that I needed to hear. I don't need to hear Rockstar again. I'm sorry. I don't need to hear... as much as I liked Crack a Bottle, I don't need to hear Crack a Bottle. And I definitely don't need to hear Crack a Bottle with the best verse cut off of it. What? Most of the production on here, if not all of it, is done by Dr. Dre. And, you know, there's this whole saying about Dr. Dre about how everything he does is 2 years ahead of the curve. So, oh, you know, there's a line on this where M's talking about, like, yo, Dr. Dre, 2010, because he recorded the song in 2008, came out in 2009, 2 years later from 2008 is 2010. Thing is, if this whole album is from 2011, it fucking stayed there, because the production, the content of what he's talking about, all of it just screams old as fuck, and not in a good way. It screams like the 40-year-old dude in the club trying to be hip. That's what this record sounds like to me. When he's talking about Lindsay Lohan and Britney Spears, like, I just don't think that Eminem is a rapper who's built to last like that. Ugh. And the thing about all the repeating tracks is you're probably like, oh, don't listen to the deluxe version. Just listen to the normal version. One, the deluxe version is the only version on iTunes. And two, I don't know if he released singles that weren't on the album or something, because they're not on the official track list, but they're on the deluxe version track list. But some of the most creative songs on here are My Darling and Be Careful What You Wish For. And they're not on the normal version, but they're on the deluxe version, slapped in between the music video version of Crack a Bottle and the single version of Crack a Bottle. So, either I have a problem with the fact that I have to listen to Crack a Bottle 3 times, or I have a problem with the fact that the album is just not good and there are maybe 2 songs on it that are genuinely good. So, I'm going to choose to review the deluxe version, because I would like to admit that there are some good things about Eminem and not just completely shit all over this album. Now, one last thing before I get into like the final wrap up. There are a couple of points on this album, specifically in the Steve Berman skit, where Eminem sort of tugs his own rope. He's just really self-indulgent, and it's not in a good way. It's sort of in like a backhanded way. Like in the Steve Berman skit, where M just sort of goes, oh, the music industry has melted down because you've been gone for 5 years, Slim. You can't just disappear like that, man. No, it fucking didn't. 808s came out the previous year. That 5-year span was a lot of Kanye albums, a lot of Lil Wayne albums, a lot of great rap music came out in that fucking time. So, let's not pretend that Eminem is like the only important rapper, like he would have you believe. There's another line on here, which I thought it was kind of interesting until I realized like the full context. I thought it was like, okay, he's talking back to the critics, and like, I get what he's saying, but he could have said it in a way that was less masturbatory. I don't even care enough to look up the song, honestly. I don't give a shit. So, best way I can put it is, he's like, oh, you re-reviewed Slim Shady LP, now it's classic. Did the same for Marshall Mathers. Did the same for Eminem Show, so how long till whatever's classic, man? Feel kind of bad saying it, and I know that generally white people like Eminem, so I'm going to piss a lot of people off, assuming that anyone ever watched this, but Eminem has no classics. I'm sorry. I'm like the classic stinge. I don't think... there are very few rappers that I can give the classic seal of approval to. Eminem, closest is Marshall Mathers LP. That's your best project in my opinion. And even then, it's not classic. This album's dated. Eminem's rapping style I personally don't like. So much about this project just melts my fucking brain, and it's hard to like focus on. There's so much just bullshit packed into the deluxe version of this album. There are a couple diamonds. Insane has a really catchy hook. Crack a Bottle, solid. Beautiful, My Darling, but it's just dreadfully fucking long, dude. Honestly, I barely like any of it. There's skits literally, I was looking at the track list. There's about a skit every 4 songs. And this was at a point in hip-hop where, like, skits have been phased out. No one was really doing skits anymore. But Marshall still had to have him on his fucking comeback record. So if you like Eminem, and I feel like people who like Eminem can easily look past all the flaws in this project, and if you're into like breaking down and hearing like the multi-syllables in your ear and stuff, it's fine. I'm not gonna blame you for enjoying songs on this album. I'm gonna be honest, there are songs that I like on this album. I have heard Beautiful hundreds of times. My dad loves that song, but as a whole, it's bad. I'm sorry. It's a 3 out of 10 for me. It's trash, in my opinion. 3 out of 10. I don't blame you if you like it. I do not at all. So yeah, alright. We'll see you guys next week.